Let me welcome you to another chat on the Lead to Exceed platform. My name is Henry Baye, your host on this chat. In the last 5 episodes, we have been chatting about what behaviors help build trust. We sought to answer the question, how must I behave to be trusted? If you have not yet seen any of these or all of them, please, you have missed a lot. Just take some time and listen to them, because I have learned so much producing these videos on trust. During these previous chats, we have outlined several behaviors that make a person or an organization trusted. So we have spoken about forthrightness, transparency, demonstrating respect, keeping commitments, righting wrongs, the practice of accountability, showing loyalty, getting better, clarifying expectations, and confronting reality. So do take some time to listen to these. In this chat, we're dealing with 2 more behaviors: delivering results and extending trust. And again, the big question is, what roles do these 2 have to play in building trust? Come with me on this chat and let's explore this together. First, let me start with a reflection on how to extend trust. Extending trust basically means trusting people with more. At one point in my career, a director grade job was advertised, and I did not think that I had what it took to do that job, so I was hesitating in applying. At least 3 different people at different times had asked me to apply for the job, and when I told them I did not feel like I could do it, they told me I was wrong about myself. Fast forward then, I was talking about this dilemma with the head of the business who advertised the job, and he was surprised that I had that view of myself. He advised me to apply for the role, which I did. What happened was that I felt a big sense of responsibility to give the interview process my very best, with a view that even if I did not get the job, I will not betray the trust he had expressed in me. Prepare I did, and guess what? I got the job. But this board did not just leave me. He kept coaching and supporting me to succeed. This trust that was extended to me kept me striving to become a better version of myself, and created in me a strong sense of loyalty to see my boss succeed and not disappoint him. That is probably one of the most powerful ways to build trust. There have been many times in my career that I was given more responsibility. What this always told me was that the person who gave me that responsibility had some trust that I could deliver on the responsibility. This is how extension of trust works. Great leaders have a way of trusting people with more, or even sometimes throwing them into the deep end, as they say. When you are a person of trust, you are trusted. But when you extend trust to others, you become trusting. And I suspect that the very sound of trusting fills you with trepidation. We have often heard stories of people who were trusting and they bent their fingers so many times. So I can understand your trepidation if that is the case. We think that being described as trusting is negative. But let me tell you what is negative. To be described as gullible is what is negative. To be described as trusting is positive when it is based on good judgment. So extending trust to others is a very powerful thing to do. First, when we extend trust to others, it engenders trust from them as well. It also engenders loyalty in response to the trust you have reposed in them. When trust is extended, it empowers people to act. When trust is held back, people feel the distrust, and this creates suspicion. And when trust is extended, it leads people to exercising a sense of responsibility and ownership. Many years ago, a good friend introduced me to a young man to do some work for me on a project I was working on. When I started working with him, I found that he was always quick to let me know when he did not feel right about some decisions being made on the project, and was always willing to go the extra mile to keep his commitments to time. And when he did not finish something on time, he would be the one to let me know what has happened. Whenever he was working on anything, he would do it and check with me if it met my expectations before he continues. And if it did not, sometimes he would do it again at his own cost. Of course, over time, our expectations merged into each other's nicely. So each time I sent him money to do things, he would send me back a very detailed account of how he used the money and what was left. He demonstrated the trust behaviors of loyalty, transparency, accountability, and clarifying of expectations. So as a natural consequence of this trust, a deep relationship was built. And I kept extending more and more trust to the point where he now has keys to my house and where I have kept a stock of materials that only him looks after. This is the power of extending trust and the kind of powerful beneficial relationships they can create. So let me tell you another story that demonstrates what a low trust situation can result into. On one occasion, I had a boss who went on leave and asked me to act in his stead. During the time he was on leave, I had an email from head office to prepare some data and send it to the head office. So I went to the officer in charge of data to ask him to act on the email. And he said, boss has already forwarded it to me and given me instructions on what to do. Obviously, this sounded rather awkward, so I asked the boss when he returned from leave. It did not go down well as his response was rather confrontational. Needless to say, that was the start of a deteriorating relationship, leading to a decision to leave the organization. I'm sure by now you get the message. Extending trust is a powerful way in which leaders can create a culture of trust. When we empower our staff with trust, our clients get better service because they can act quickly when issues arise or just when they serve clients. Now, let me talk about the trust behavior of delivering results. Often, when my children are studying for their exams and I ask how their preparation is going, I get the response that it's all under control. My capacity or willingness to trust that response will often be built on the results they obtained the last time they gave me that assurance. There are many competencies organizations are trying to assess during interviews. But perhaps the most important thing they try to assess, especially using the structured interview process, is your track record of results. If you're organizing a big event for very important personalities and you are looking for a caterer for the event, you will not select just any caterer. The reason is, whilst many caterers will have the competence to make good meals, the kind of caterer you need for an event of this nature is one with a demonstrable track record for catering for events of this nature. Or otherwise, you must have seen their results in other events that makes you trust them with such a high-profile event. Delivering concrete results is by far one of the most important trust behaviors. It is the quickest way to gain the trust of people, especially when done repeatedly till it becomes a track record. In most job interviews, when interviewers ask an interviewee to tell them a time when they did some particular action, they are trying to figure out what their track record is. Delivering results is how you convert cynics into believers and build trust fast in a new relationship that gives you flexibility and choices. We talked earlier about the behavior of clarifying expectations. This behavior is also very closely linked to the deliver results behaviors. When expectations are not clarified, it can lead to a misunderstanding of what results are the expected ones. This can also be made worse by the idea of shifting goalposts. There are some leaders who, either in a bid to get more out of people or just out of the disingenuity not to recognize them, have delivered what is expected, but they seem to point to a new benchmark after they have delivered what was expected. So when you work with people who can anticipate your needs and requirements and deliver them before you ask it, it takes trust and loyalty to an entirely different level when it comes to building trust. As I bring this chat to a close, as always, if you have any questions on your mind or you have some reflections you'd like to share, please feel free to share them with us. But don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, and by all means, hit the notification button so that next time we post content, you would be the first to know. This has been me, Henry Bai, on the Lead to Exceed chat. Lead to Exceed, inspiring leaders, multiplying impact.